Today we're here to talk about something that happened last year with the Charter Commission. The Charter Commission was looking at changing our form of town government from town meeting to something else. In this case, the Charter Commission majority came out and recommended a change to going to another deliberative session form of government called official ballot voting. And you're familiar with that because we use a version of that in our school government. Well, tonight, George Herman and myself are going to moderate a discussion with those who led the minority side of the discussion on the Charter Commission. Some town leaders here tonight. We have Kathy Wagner, former town councilor, Marty Bovey, former town councilor, and Steve Young, school board member. So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about what happened with the Charter Commission in 2010 to bring us up to date to where we are now.
Well, as you may remember, Tom, in 2009 there was a vote to form a Charter Commission. So then when it was formed, we went through a whole process of looking into what should change, why it should change. There's still a lot of question about it. Bottom line was, I think, was do you want to change to a ballot voting or do you want to still have the town meeting?
Those that were interested in making the change recommended that we go to a deliberative form of government where we'll have a deliberative session that occurs before we go to the polls. Now at that deliberative session, what happens is you make edits to whatever the town council has come up with, and then whatever edits that you make or amendments would then get passed on to the polls. The group would get together at the deliberative session, and they would be the legislative body instead of the town meeting legislative body we have today. Now, one of the inherent problems with that I see and others see is at least at town meeting you have 300 or so people that come all the time. And 300 is a pretty good sized legislative body. Once you get above 100 or so, the sanity seems to set in and people don't do crazy things. One of the issues with deliberative session we've seen with history is when you go to deliberative session, the number of people that attend decrease, it gets cut down. And the problem is, and the Assistant Secretary of State said this, is that when that happens, and he told us that attendance goes down. And he said, and after attendance goes down, mischief occurs. You get a special interest group that comes in, and they want something, and they modify the budget.
At town meeting, as you said, you're going to debate the article from beginning to end. You're going to modify it or change it, whatever, at that meeting. And the people that are concerned are going to be there. Now, it doesn't just happen at the town meeting. It builds up over time. It happens when we have the budget reviews. It happens through all the hearings. It happens through the whole year long, okay, that people have been paying attention. The town meeting is the crescendo of what's happened throughout the year. But the town meeting is the last place where you get to actually react to changes that have been made, either based on the deliberative session with the school board, okay, coming up with their budget that you just voted on Tuesday, that now can't be changed, okay, it gets voted on whether you voted it up or down, that's it. You can't, if we get rid of town meeting, okay, there's no way to modify, as Steve said, whatever you decided on a deliberative session. And the deliberative session isn't the place where you're going to get people, like you said. It's less and less people showing up for that. The town meeting, where we have a committed bunch of people who are involved, and other people who show up because there's something of interest that now piques them from going there, okay? They finally get a chance to react to what may have happened through the year at the deliberative session, and also what happened on Tuesday. What did you vote in? How much money are we spending?
Well, one of the things that I've heard recently in the media, and the discussions about this, and Kathy, let me ask you, if we switch governments like this, all those folks in the military who are off doing their service to their country can vote by absentee ballot. So deliberative session, now all these folks can vote absentee ballot at the deliberative session, is that right?
No. The argument is that town meeting takes their right to vote away. Well, the deliberative session actually takes their right of vote away as well. They cannot be involved in the process of it. They might not even be able to vote on what the warrant said. For instance, we saw something that happened in Exeter, and we've seen this happen all over the state, where people go in and they change a few words to see, to establish. They change the warrant, so you don't even get to vote on what the original warrant was about. Now,
wait.
The
state rep said they fixed that.
No. So John Lynch signed a bill early in February that was saying that you cannot change a warrant article, the wording of the wording of the intent of the warrant article. There's no legislation in place. There's no ability for the towns to put things in their warrant articles to say, hey, let's protect our town. It's our town. And that, I think, really is the part that made me say, I want to keep town meeting till this part gets figured out.
Kelly brought up something that I think people really need to pay attention to, and the fact is, we have such confusion right now with what's going on with the school in this town. Forget everybody else, in this town. And that can be changed overnight by a decision in a court. How does that impact what happens with the town? Should we not leave what we have in place until we find out what that is? Because how that impacts may be the way that we get directed to change our charter if we decide to change it and change the town meeting and so forth. So I just think, again, just to re-emphasize, there's too many things that are out there that we don't know about. I think we should not pass this.
The deliberative sessions are a mess right now in the state. Right here in Londonderry, we're in the middle of a suit about the deliberative session. We've got, our citizen members in the town, town councilor, a state representative, former town councilor that have sued the school district. We're in court right now. We're dealing with that. We don't know what the outcome of the court case will be. Why not take a deep breath and figure out a way to do this right? I contacted Sharon Carson back when we met on the town committee to say, Sharon, can you put in...
Who's Sharon Carson?
Oh, I'm sorry, Senator Carson. This year she intends to structure a bill that will codify the ability to have a quorum. So at that point, when we went into this process, our committee wasn't even allowed to look at it. But yet now we may have state law which allows us to have it. Why not wait and reconsider this once we know what that state law is going to be, and once the courts finish messing around with it.
George, you've been around town for a while, and you've been involved in politics. You've been obviously on the school board and so forth, but as a citizen, as a taxpayer, what do you think about this change? I mean, how do you feel about changing our form of government, doing away with town meeting?
When we voted on the Charter Commission, I voted in favor of having the Charter Commission there because I can see the flaws in how things are done in the deliberative session. I've been here 15 years, but I come from New York, and I believe that best decisions are made by the most informed people. I never felt that deliberative session or town meeting get everybody the opportunity to get out there and vote, but the state laws say that these are the options that we have. I was hoping that the Charter Commission, would have come forward. I'm comfortable with a quorum, number one. But I think the biggest thing that concerns me, and I struggled with this, whether I was for or against it, is Article 2, as it's going to be presented on the 8th. And I think at this point, my biggest concern is there are so many flaws in the way that this process could work and the way that it could go wrong. The state government in Concord sees it. We hear about it all the time, different legislative actions that are going to take place up there, and people trying to fix it, not trying to fix it. We saw it this past weekend in Exeter. How the forces that be can manipulate what happens. So I'm going to vote no for Article 2. And hopefully we'll find something better as we go along. I still believe that there's change necessary. But let's be very thoughtful about how we go about doing it, see what comes out of Concord, and let's really be the leaders here and push for the changes that we want to see as the town of Londonderry. I think somebody made the point earlier that we take great pride in being the leaders here in Londonderry and leading the state forward. And how are we going to do that moving to the future? And I want to provide a better future for my kids and my grandkids. And what's the best here in Londonderry? And right now, I don't think this is.
Before we wrap up tonight, I'd like to survey those around the table, those commission members who are here with us tonight, and see what their final decision is going to be going forward. Start with you, Steve.
Simple, vote no. On Article 2, it's just not right. Deliberative is a mess.
I'm voting no for some of the reasons I mentioned earlier, and I have a lot of other reasons as well. But I think the main thing is we have all been involved in local government. We know how slow and how dynamic a little change can be in trying to get things done. I hope that the voters out there, before they vote on changing something like this, will stop and think about the impact that it's really going to have. I just suggested that people really consider the impacts of this, and in this particular case, vote no. And as George said, and I think he's right, we should still look at it, the process. Maybe there's things we need to fix, but I don't think this is the way to go.
Kathy?
I'm asking people to vote no. And they've all said it pretty well. I believe that we were given a choice, and we were told by the voters to look this new form of government over, to make this change when they voted last year to open the Charter Commission. I don't think at the time everybody was aware of what was going to happen in the state, and the fact that the court cases and the quorum issue and all of this other stuff was all going to bubble up along with it. So I think before we go off and just vote yes and put ourselves in a position of finding out that maybe the quorum is legal, or Exeter stands and new legislation comes through, that we find ourselves going, oh my God, everything's changed from when we originally started, so let's just hold off for a year. I have faith in my government to know that the people did speak, that they wanted to look at this issue. And if all of our concerns are unfounded, then they will open the process again. But if all of our concerns are founded, we need to open the process with that knowledge so we do it correctly. And that's why I'm asking people to vote no.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard from former commissioner members, all recommending to vote no on Article 2, as well as George Herman, a current school board member, soon to be retired, but a respected leader in the community who has processed this information and gone full circle, and is also recommending no. So thank you for listening, and please go to the polls on March 8th and cast your vote.